All right, let's dive right in. We're going to tackle a question that sounds so simple, you probably think you know the answer. But trust me, it gets weirdly complicated the more you dig into it. The question is this: what actually makes something alive? I mean, think about it. How do you really know? You see a dog running around or a cow just chilling in a field chewing its cud. It's obvious, right? We just we just know they're alive. They're moving. They're doing things. Easy. But here's where those easy, common sense answers start to fall apart. We say, well, living things move. Okay, but what about a dog that's fast asleep? Or we say, living things grow. Fine, but what about a plant that's reached its full size? And if you say, well, they breathe, what on earth do we do with something like a virus? So clearly, just looking at what's happening on the surface, that's not going to cut it. To find the real answer, we've got to go smaller, like way smaller. It turns out that the real spark of life isn't some big, obvious action. It's actually this invisible, constant hum of activity that is always, always going. So what is it? What's the one true sign of life that biologists can all agree on? It all comes down to movement, yep, but on a scale you can't see. We're talking about the relentless, invisible motion of molecules inside of our cells. This is so fundamental, it's actually a huge reason why scientists still argue about whether viruses are truly alive. Because on their own, they don't have any of this molecular movement. Not until they hijack a living cell anyway. Now, this constant internal movement is so important because of a massive problem every living thing has to solve. See, our bodies are these incredibly organized, ordered structures. But the universe loves chaos. The natural tendency of everything is to break down and become disorganized. So that means from the moment we exist, our bodies are in this constant uphill battle to just hold themselves together. So, how does life win this fight against chaos? Well, it does it by performing a set of absolutely essential jobs. The best way to think about it is like having a nonstop 24/7 maintenance crew working inside you, constantly fixing damage and keeping everything in perfect running order. The official name for these jobs is life processes. And here's the absolute key. This maintenance work never stops. I mean, never. Even when you're just sitting there or when you're completely knocked out for the night, these functions are humming along, preventing damage and literally keeping you from falling apart. So this internal crew has 4 main departments. First up is nutrition. That's all about getting the fuel and raw materials you need from the outside world. Then there's respiration, which is the process of actually breaking down that fuel to get energy out of it. Third, you've got transportation, which is like the body's postal service, delivering all that energy and material everywhere it needs to go. And finally, there's excretion, basically the waste management team that gets rid of all the toxic stuff left over. Let's zoom in on that first job, nutrition. Because, let's be honest, without fuel, none of the other work can happen. And every single living thing on this planet gets its fuel in one of 2 basic ways. In one corner, you have the makers, or autotrophs. These guys are the ultimate chefs. They make their own food from super simple ingredients they just find lying around, like carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Think green plants and some types of bacteria. In the other corner, you have the takers, or heterotrophs. And that's us. We can't make our own food. We have to take it by consuming other living or once living things. This club includes all animals, fungi, and of course, humans. So, since we're all members of the Takers Club here, let's go on an incredible journey. We're going to follow what happened to the last thing you ate and see how we pull off this amazing job of nutrition. The whole trip takes place inside something called the alimentary canal. It's basically one very long, very sophisticated tube that runs from your mouth all the way out the other end. And the journey starts the literal second food passes your lips. Your teeth go to work crushing it up, while your salivary glands launch the first chemical assault. See, that saliva isn't just water, it's packed with these amazing little tools called enzymes. You can think of them as tiny molecular scissors that start snipping up complex food molecules into smaller pieces. The one in your saliva, salivary amylase, immediately gets to work breaking down starches into sugars. The whole process starts before you even swallow. From there, the food heads down to the stomach. And this is not just some passive holding bag, oh no. It's a muscular powerhouse that churns and mixes everything with incredibly powerful juices. We're talking super strong hydrochloric acid and a special enzyme called pepsin, whose whole job is to start tearing apart proteins. Once the stomach's done its thing, this mush gets released, bit by bit, into the small intestine. Now, don't let the name fool you. This is the longest part of the whole tube, and this is the main event. This is where the complete digestion of all food, carbs, proteins, and fats actually happens. But the small intestine is smart. It calls for backup. The liver sends over a substance called bile, which is fantastic at breaking up big blobs of fat into tiny little droplets. At the same time, the pancreas shoots over its own powerful enzyme cocktail with things like trypsin for proteins and lipase for those fats. And then, the walls of the intestine itself release one final batch of juices to finish the job, breaking everything down into its smallest possible form. Okay, so the food is totally broken down. Now what? How do we actually get all that good stuff into our body? While the small intestine has a secret weapon, its inner lining isn't smooth at all. It's covered in millions and millions of tiny finger-like folds called villi. These things are ingenious. They increase the surface area so much that they turn your intestine into a super efficient sponge, just soaking up all those valuable nutrients directly into your bloodstream. Phew. Okay, that was a whirlwind tour of your digestive system. So let's zoom back out and connect this all back to that huge question we started with. Why does any of this matter for being alive? And here's where it all clicks into place. Your bloodstream, that's transportation, carries those nutrients to every single cell in your body. Inside the cells, respiration happens where that fuel is burned to release energy. And that energy, it powers everything. It builds new tissues, it repairs old ones, keeping that maintenance crew running 24/7. The waste from all that work gets cleaned up by excretion. See? It's all connected. It's a perfect loop. And that brings us right back to where we started. All of these life processes are fighting that constant war against chaos and decay. They work together, nonstop, to maintain the incredible order inside of you. Because it's really simple. If that order breaks down, the organism is no longer alive. And here is the most mind-blowing part of all. As you've been sitting here watching this, your body has been doing every single one of these things. That invisible molecular movement, the digestion, the non-stop repair, it's all happening right now, without you even having to think about it. This incredible living machine is working for you. Which really only leaves one last question. What are you going to fuel it with next?